Good morning. Today is Tuesday, July 19th at 8:30 a.m. I'd like to welcome fellow commissioners, staff, guests, those watching online. Thank you so much for taking interest in your local county government. With that, I'm going to open up to public comment. Is there any public that would like to address the Finance and Physical Resources Committee this morning? All right, seeing none, I will close public comment. That will take us to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
We have moved and supported. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? All those in favor of passing the consent agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. That motion passes. That will bring us to item 3, which is a motion from Commissioner Wooden for a closed session.
Thank you, Chair. I move to go into closed session in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.268, parens H, to consider material that is exempt from disclosure under another state or federal statute, this being the Freedom of Information Act.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say yes.
You need a roll call.
We need a roll call. All right, we'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Antor.
Yes.
Commissioner Bolter.
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks.
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan.
Yes.
Commissioner Wooden.
Yes.
Commissioner Bulkowski.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes,
The motion carries.
thank you. So with that, we're moving into closed session. We need fiscal, sheriff, purchasing, and commissioners to stay. Even if you're not on finance, but you're here as a commissioner, please stay. All right, we have just opened up from closed session. That brings us to item number 4 on the agenda. Al?
Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to transfer $2,295,000 to the Correctional Facility cell door and lock replacement project and $1,590,000 to the Data Center 1 DC1 relocation project from the Strategic Capital Project in the 2022 Capital Improvement Program Fund budget. Board Resolution 722-2169 appropriated $4 million to the Correctional Facility cell door and lock replacement CIP project. The lowest responsive bid came in at $6,295,000, requiring an additional $2,295,000 to allow for completion of the project. It is recommended that one of the county data centers be relocated to provide a permanent, secure location, as the current location is being considered for alternative uses. It is also recommended the CIP project be created and move forward immediately due to supply chain issues and the length of time it takes to acquire the necessary equipment and technology upgrades. The estimated cost is $1,590,000. It is requested that $2,295,000 be transferred to the Correctional Facility cell door and lock replacement project, and $1,590,000 be transferred to the DC1 relocation project from the Strategic Capital Project in the CIP fund.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, we have moved from Commissioner Wooden, support by Commissioner Bulkowski. We'll take questions, comments, and discussion at this time. Yes, Commissioner Bulkowski.
I guess the question related to the second project, the movement of DC1, are those estimates based on like pre-bid or something? Because the first item was a $2.2 million supply chain bonus cost. And so are we going to have a supply chain bonus cost on DC1, or how solid is that estimate?
It's solid. We actually were talking about this project a couple of years ago, or maybe 18 months ago, and we had some pretty firm bids then, and then we just never executed them. So we essentially went back to the same vendors and just said, hey, what would it cost us today? So that's how we arrived at that number.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, seeing no other questions or comments, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. That motion passes. That brings us to item number 5 from the Health Department. Al?
Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners To add one full-time medical social worker position, the CSHCS program enrolls qualifying families and provides support services, care coordination, education, advocacy, and home visits to children who face serious health issues. Without these critical services, the child's quality of life would be greatly diminished. The number of families that qualify for services has increased by 54% in the last 5 years. Enrollment in 2017 was 2,400 families, and that has increased to 3,700 families in 2022. The number of diagnoses that allow a family to qualify for services has expanded during this time, which has contributed to some of the increase. The addition of the medical social worker position will allow the CSHCS program to do outreach in underserved communities who are not adequately represented in the current program enrollment, as well as provide case management services for current families enrolled in the program. The annual cost of salary and benefits for this position is $84,491. The position costs of $14,082 for the 2 months remaining in budget year 2022 will be funded with maternal child health grant dollars that have been unspent due to a vacant position originally budgeted in the grant. For budget year 2023, the position costs of $84,491 will be funded fully by the maternal child health grant program. If approved, the position and funding will be included in the Health Department's FY 2023 budget that will be presented for approval later this year. If funding is eliminated or decreased, the positions will be eliminated unless continuation funding is approved pursuant to the fiscal policy on grants, contracts, and donations.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
All right, we have moved by Commissioner Bulkowski, support by Commissioner Sparks. We'll take questions, comments, and discussion at this time. Commissioner Bulkowski.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, happy to move this and happy to see it happening. This support is just critical for families. And it, Children's Special Health Care, the old name, and I cringe slightly on the day we celebrate the Americans with Disabilities Act, but it was originally called Crippled Children's. And so, I mean, this is children with disabilities. And so, and again, those of us who are parents, have been parents, it's enough of a burden when a kid is standard, and then you throw in a few disabilities. So this additional assistance is awesome for us to be able to afford and provide to families throughout the county.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Echoing the comments, I just was wondering, since the position will be funded with unspent dollars due to a vacant position, I'm wondering what that vacant position is, and if the project will be continued to be funded out of the grant program, is that currently vacant position going to be converted into this position?
Yeah, the position that was vacant was one that was in our Center for Community Health Strategies. It was a health educator position, and that position now is going to be in another grant program, and then this new position will be included in the maternal child health funds.
Perfect. Thank you. And if I'm understanding correctly from reading this, just because I know in a previous CHAC meeting, the lack of the lack of funding increase from the state on this initiative has been crucial. Have we seen any movement on this? I'm assuming since we're using these dollars, the answer is no.
The answer is no, correct. We, unfortunately, the budget process at the state had already started at the point that a lot of the advocacy was already done and that the letter was sent to them. So we're really hoping for potentially in the FY24 budget from the state that we'll see an increase in funding. But for FY23 at this point, there is not additional funding in the Children's Special Health Care Program.
Thank you.
Commissioner Antor.
I was just curious on this medical social worker, what type of qualifications or training is required for that position? Medical background.
Good morning, everyone. The social work position that we're looking at currently must be a master's prepared social worker, fully licensed. We are looking, because those can be very hard to recruit and keep, because places like Spectrum Health are paying a whole lot more than the health department does, and so it's hard to compete with them. So we are looking at the possibility of expanding that to include a bachelor's prepared social worker. The M in medical social worker is kind of a misnomer. They're not necessarily medical social workers, they're social workers.
The 84,000, that seems to be, that's quite a bit of money, be paying somebody that doesn't have certain
It is.
market.
Yeah. We're competing with some really big systems for help right now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, anyone else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. Opposed, say no. That motion passes. That brings us to item number 6 from the Health Department. Al?
Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to add 1 full-time medical social worker position. The NFP program is an evidence-based national nurse home visiting program that serves highest-risk, first-time, low-income moms in Kent County and addresses the disparities we see in babies born into disadvantaged circumstances. The program has been successful in helping mothers break the chain of poverty and raise healthy, happy children. Enrollment must occur before 29 weeks of pregnancy, and the program continues until the child turns 2 years old. The Health Department currently has 6 public health nurses who carry a caseload of approximately 25 to 30 clients each. The addition of the medical social worker position would be a full-time master's prepared mental health professional with the infant mental health level 3 certification. Mental health conditions are common in the perinatal period. 15 to 20% of women will develop symptoms during this period, and women of color and those who are under-resourced have even higher incidence of perinatal mental health conditions. The addition of the medical social worker will provide clients easier access to care, interventions that are needed, and clients are more likely to accept services if offered within the NFP program that the client is engaged in. The annual cost of salary and benefits for this position is $84,491. The position cost of $14,082 for the 2 months remaining in budget year 2022 will be funded with NFP grant dollars that have been unspent due to vacant positions originally budgeted in the grant. For budget year 2023, the position cost of $84,491 will be funded fully by $126,141 of new NFP funds awarded to the Health Department through the MDHHS Comprehensive Agreement. If approved, the position and funding will be included in the Health Department's FY 2023 budget that will be presented for approval later this year. If funding is eliminated or decreased, the positions will be eliminated unless continuation funding is approved pursuant to the fiscal policy on grants, contracts, and donations.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? Okay, we have a move and moved by Commissioner Bolkowski, supported by Commissioner Sparks. We'll take questions, comments, and discussion. Yes, Commissioner Bolter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quick, wondering can you help me understand the difference between this program and what we do with Strong Beginnings? Because I know it's very similar. And we do cover some of that out of the early childhood education millage, correct?
We cover.
This is a different grant.
Yeah, it is a different grant. Strong Beginnings, we do receive Ready by 5 millage funds to cover some of the Strong Beginnings, particularly a community health worker that works with refugees.
Okay.
So it is different in that they're different models of delivery. This one is nurses, predominantly nurses. It's nurse-family partnership. So
Okay.
the 6 current employees are nurses, and we are adding a multidisciplinary approach by adding a social worker.
Okay.
Strong Beginnings is a community health worker model.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a quick question. You mentioned that the medical part of medical social worker is a bit of a misnomer. Am I understanding correctly that that's simply a social worker that helps to do normal social work, but in the scope of medicine, or coordinating services and that kind of thing, and that's why the title is the way that it is?
That's right.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Hey, anyone else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. That motion passes. That brings us to item number 7 from Parks. Al?
Yes, as I read this, I just wanted to note that there's a pretty picture of it in front of you to maybe refer to. Action requested, recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve the transfer of property located at Ruth Park to the Kent County Road Commission and authorize the board chair or designee to sign all related documents. The Kent County Road Commission is requesting the county give it title to a 27-foot wide strip of property located next to 68th Street for use as a road right-of-way, supporting a widening of 68th Street in the future. This transfer will not impair the usability of the location as a county park. Corporate counsel will review and approve all documents before they are executed by the board chair or designee.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Commissioner Morgan, is that right? And support by Commissioner Bolter? Great. And we'll take questions, comments, and discussion. Yes, Commissioner Bulkowski.
What's happening out there that the road commission needs this property, and then why not an easement? And then, of course, I'm so disappointed in our negotiation ability that Steve Warren got this for $1. I mean, I thought the road commission had some money, so we could have gotten more than $1 from him. But anyways, what are y'all doing out there that you need this?
I'm Wayne Harrell, I'm with Road Commission. We actually deeded, we had the whole park under the Road Commission name up until about 5 years ago, and we quit claimed it all, with the exception of this parcel. And I'm guessing that possibly a house was built back in the day to allow for the parking lot that exists there. But if you travel out in this area, we've got a corridor project which we started last year on 68th Street between Cherry Valley Avenue and Thornapple River Drive. It goes to the south of Alaska. Just to the east of the park is Thornapple that goes to the north. But we constructed that to our all-season standard, which is a roadway with 12-foot lanes, 8-foot shoulders, still a 2-lane roadway. What we are looking in this area, so the existing road in front of the park in the area where we're proposing to get an additional easement, and I do think it's highway easement that we really, I mean, that's what we really need, is the ability to work in that area. Current right-of-way is 33 feet on each side of the road. If you look at one of the photos in there of the house opposite the park, the face of that house is right at the right-of-way. So our ability to widen that existing 30-foot wide roadway to 40 feet, we really want to do that all to the south. We really don't. We would have great impacts to that home. We also would like to have the ability in the future for a separated trail, and this additional right-of-way would allow for that. Wouldn't be the Road Commission's facility, but it would be likely Caledonia Township. This is on one of their corridors to expand for non-motorized trails. So as you go to the east of here, we've got the intersection of Thornapple River Drive. Our objective would be to do additional widening there, just to give a small left turn lane pocket. So that would require even more widening in front of the park. The work that we do will not impact the parking lot. We would impact the driveway because we'd have to move that driveway opening back the width of the widening. But this project is currently in our plan for next year to widen from Thornapple River Drive to Whitneyville. So again, still a 2-lane roadway for the most part. It's just built to a higher standard. The 8-foot shoulder is great for safety because if you need to get off, you can pull off the roadway completely. So a lot of traffic out in this area, and it's continuing to grow.
Commissioner Sparks?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm questioning how this house is going to be impacted. You said that there's a lot of traffic there. You also stated that you're going to go to the opposite, I'm sorry, you're going this way, not this way.
To the park side,
Oh, okay.
yes.
So the house will not be impacted.
The house would not be impacted any more than it currently is. There might be some grading. The bushes are technically in the right-of-way. We certainly would try to work around those, but our intent would not to impact the home, for sure.
Okay, Commissioner Morgan?
Oh, yeah, anyway. Did I understand you correctly? You're looking at a future turn lane into the park or for the Chaplain Road.
For Thornapple River Drive, but we would likely consider kind of a dual left turn lane so that if you're heading eastbound, you would have a pocket to pull into the park and also to turn on Thornapple River Drive. It's not the greatest setup because the park driveway doesn't line up with Thornapple. But it creates a little bit of what we call left turn lockup if you had multiple cars in there, so we certainly would have to look at that. But, yeah, potentially, now, we do have challenges because just beyond Thornapple River Drive is the crossing of the Thornapple River. So we've got a bridge that we just put some major rehabilitation work into. So we're somewhat constrained to the width of that bridge at that location.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Antor?
Yeah, just going back to that house, was that a result of, it seems like they built awful close to the road. Was that code at the time, or did they get a variance or something?
Well, it's the Village of Alaska, platted probably in the 1800s. I didn't bring that information with me, but if you go west of here, there are other situations where it's very challenging corridor. This, if we're able to secure this additional right-of-way, gives us the most flexibility that we're gonna have down through this section of Old Alaska, just because it is platted, and back in the day, there weren't vehicles, I'm sure. I mean, it was probably horse and buggy, so.
But it looks like a relatively new house based on the roof lines and
I
stuff.
think they did an upgrade to it, but,
Okay.
but there are other dwellings as you go back to the west. Now, adjacent to the park, fortunately, the houses are back in that location, so again, if we do the majority as we're approaching the park property, we start shifting the widening that we would be doing on both sides of the road all to the south side. That will be important for us to preserve some of that setback for those homes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bolter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quick, I 100% support this. I have been down there a lot, and the traffic is crazy. The growth is crazy. You can't get, if you're driving, there's no shoulder to even get off of if there was an accident, which there have been a lot. So I really support this and appreciate you doing this, and anything we can do to create more room on those roads, especially maybe next up could be Whitneyville in some way, shape, or form, but it's needed, so thank you.
Commissioner Green?
Thank you, Chair. Wayne, I had a quick question for it. I mean, relative to Commissioner Antor and Commissioner Bolter's comments, I know this isn't the only place in the county, and this is big picture outside of what we're talking about right here, but where we've got some very old, villages and platted areas that are now being redeveloped or developed more surrounding areas, and all of a sudden, what was a buggy trail way back in the turn of the century is now handling X number of thousands of cars per day. My question after all of that is, and again, I apologies, Chair, because this is a little outside of the question at hand, but how do we work with the townships to try to mitigate some of that stuff when not necessarily, when development around impacts some of the older roadways like this? I know we're talking about this park issue and that sort of thing, but I know the Road Commission works through those in other areas, and I've sat on the other side of the table from the township side and approved something in the Road Commission, so really quickly, I mean, and we can talk another time about it too, but how do you address those problems? Because I know this isn't the only place in the county where you're dealing with really high traffic on a road that was never intended to support that kind of traffic when it was originally planned.
Sure. It is a county primary, and, the Caledonia area has grown significantly, right? It's one of the bigger growing townships, I believe, in the county right now. And the thing that is key to this corridor is it crosses the Thornapple River. So we have 48th Street crosses to the north, 2.5 miles, I believe. 84th Street crosses the river 2 miles to the south, and 100th Street, another 2 miles. So every couple miles, we've got a crossing of the river. 48th Street, very high volumes, has been improved between Thornapple River Drive and Whitneyville. We're fortunate to get some grant money, and that was a huge improvements that we've done along 48th Street. 68th Street is kind of next on our list, and we're trying to basically improve the safety again. How it impacts these houses, we are very proactive. Once we have a base set of plans, we meet with the neighbors. We invite them, they don't all come, but we talk about issues. This one certainly will love, hopefully, that we've got additional right-of-way and that we're gonna have minimum impact on them. But I think the biggest impact on the traffic is that wider shoulder. So if you go and you drive out to the portion that we did improve, Caledonia Township actually paid additional funding to have the shoulders paved a little bit wider. So you're gonna see that those shoulders are about 8 feet on each side. And that was partly done for pedestrian usage. People going out to get their mailboxes. For us, it's less maintenance, because now we don't have a little bit of gravel and a little bit of pavement. But, I mean, we really can't change how things have been developed, and certainly Caledonia Township probably has one of the best ordinances as it relates to non-motorized, because if you develop in Caledonia Township, you're either required to build a sidewalk or build a trail. I'm not certain how they decide one versus the other, but again, if something were ever to develop in this area, the potential again would be to get across the river. We are currently working with them on how we could modify that bridge just to have wider shoulders to get across. But, I mean, we really try to manage the traffic, right? But all of those roads that I named off that have, bridges over the Thornapple, they're all county primaries. They're all, continuing to grow and carry a lot of traffic, and we try to do the best we can, to improve the safety of those corridors.
Thanks to everyone for indulging my detour there.
Ba-dum-bum. All right, yes, Commissioner Morgan.
You mentioned the entrance to the park is between two roads here on the left wing. Should we be looking at maybe moving the entrance to that park where we're at this, or
Something
for
that we,
traffic flows? I mean, if we're involved, I guess if we're in for, a dime, we're in for $1, right? I mean,
it's certainly something that we'd want to look at, but it does push it closer to the river as well. So we would certainly work with your park staff and the county staff if we felt that that was an
just have a
improvement.
road coming off there or something. Okay.
Okay, anyone else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, say no. That motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That brings us to item number 8, Office of the Administrator. Al?
Yes, action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve adding Kent County to the Ottawa County Regional Conservation Partnership Program, RCPP, grant agreement as an eligible entity to hold easements, and to accept and appropriate $100,600 of Ottawa County RCPP funding to purchase the development rights to the Momber property, and authorize the board chair or designee to execute the letter of understanding and grant agreement and approve extensions and amendments and associated documents. On February 21, 2021, Ottawa County received $500,000 in federal RCPP funds for the implementation of various environmentally focused projects on agricultural land, including securing conservation easements. The grant covers property in the Lower Grand watershed and its subsidiaries, including the Lower Rogue watershed, which is split between Kent and Ottawa counties. Ottawa County will distribute $100,600 of the federal RCPP funds to Kent County for the purchase of a conservation easement that will cover 2 parcels, 4105-20-400-015 and 4105-21-100-020 in Sparta Township. These funds will cover an estimated 22.9% of the purchase price of the easement. The remaining funding for the easement is expected to come from the state of Michigan, Grand Rapids Community Foundation, and the landowner. The distribution of the funds is contingent upon an executed letter of understanding with Ottawa County and a contribution letter allowing Ottawa County to claim Kent County's state grant and county staff time as matching funds. USDA Natural Resources Conservation Services will review all amendments to the original RCPP agreement for approval. The grant agreement period will expire on February 21, 2026. Corporate Counsel will review and approve the agreement and associated documents as to form.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
All right, we have moved by Commissioner Wooden. We have support from Commissioner Antor, and we will take questions, comments, and discussion, noting that there is an addendum to the action request, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 additional bullet points for information. Any questions on this one?
We have Matt Channing, and then Becky Hudding is here from Ottawa County as well to answer any of your questions.
Okay,
So-
Commissioner Wooden?
Thank you, Chair. A quick one, we've seen these before in these easement requests. I wonder how owner contributions are calculated. Is it a concession in the price for the easement, and that's included in the capital stack, if you will? Does that give them a tax benefit? When someone is selling an easement, how is their own capital in the capital structure?
Yeah, it does work as a credit on their taxes. The landowner component is strongly encouraged by all the grantors we have, and so we work with the landowner to help them have the conversation on what they're comfortable with, essentially not receiving back from the purchase of the easement. They do get the tax credit, so it's not a loss to them, but it is something that all of our funders like to see, that the landowner has sort of skin in the game on that.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Antor?
Is there any other programs these landowners may be involved in already? Like, I forgot what they're called, but they're certain agricultural benefits sometimes they apply for. Would that go away if they, or can you have both?
Yeah, so you can still be PA 116 enrolled.
That's the number? Okay. I knew there was a number out there.
You got it.
So you can do both? Okay, thank you.
One of the things that you can't do, though, on that same topic is you can't be drilling for oil. You can't have an oil piece, right?
The deed terms that our funders set up with us we can work in a certain envelope of where that can happen. You still have to maintain the viability of the land of agriculture, and so sort of aggressively drilling throughout the entire property probably would not be allowed. But certainly, we would work with any landowner who has a current lease with an oil company that is not expired to make sure that lease can still be honored in some fashion.
Do they?
Do they? No, they don't. In
Okay.
this case.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. That motion passes. That will bring us to item number 9, which is miscellaneous. Is there any Commissioner miscellaneous for the Finance and Physical Resources Committee this morning? We'll start with Commissioner Bukowski.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. If you still have time in your calendar, today from 5 to 7 at the Kentwood branch of the Kent District Library is the annual ADA celebration. The Americans with Disabilities Act passed 32 years ago. And so we celebrate that and get excited for another year of action. 5 to 7, free food, great entertainment, and my remarks will be brief.
Okay, anyone else? All right, seeing none, we can adjourn, and our next meeting is Tuesday, August 16th at 8:30. There is a meeting following this for CIP. Thank you.